Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers. The game I want to share with you today is against the Grandmaster Alex Yermolinsky, and he was three-time American champion, while one time in 2001 he earned the title of American Continental Champion, while he won World Open three times. And during his peak FIDE rating was 2660, uh, and he was world number 21. Uh, the Grandmaster Alex Yermolinsky, he usually plays his favorite opening is Grunfeld as black against d4, and he's one of the leading expert in the world in this opening. While the Grunfeld is one of my beloved opening as well, and I love to play it both as white as well as with black. So in this game, Mr. Alex was white and I was playing black, and we played our beloved opening. So this game is very interesting for me as it was in my favorite opening, and it started with d4. I replied with knight f6, c4, g6, knight c3, and d5. This is the Grunfeld. The grandmaster choice was exchange Grunfeld. I went for, and now this is the exchange Grunfeld, and I played bishop g7, the mainline move. And there are a few system in this position. Like one system is with knight f3, the other system is with bishop c4. There is also rook b1 and some other minor systems. But Mr. Alex went for knight f3 system. I replied with c5. And here again, there are some branches, and Mr. Alex went for bishop e3. The main line in this position is queen to a5, but I went for a sideline, which is very interesting, and it is with knight c6. He immediately replied with the bishop e3 mainline move, rook c1. In this position, I played cd, uh, cd, and queen a5 check. This is the main line of the exchange variation, modern exchange variation. And he replied with the main move with bishop d2. I took the extra pawn. Although the position is very poisonous for black, and it is very difficult to evaluate this position uh, as there are so many hidden threats in these line. I remember one of the game of one of my favorite players, Yasir Sarawan. He played with white a game in this line, and that was a very impressive game. The mainline move as Yasir played and also played in this game by Mr. Alex is d5. Uh, Black can respond with both knight a5 as well as knight e5. I went for the knight e5 line, and after the exchange of the knights, white has a very cunning move, and that is bishop b5 check. And here, uh, black has very limited options, and the main line is like played in the Yasser game, bishop d5. Yasser in that game, Yasser Sarawan played queen to e2, which is a very complicated and interesting line. Here, after say a5, a6, bishop takes, king takes d7, d7, and check 8 g4, and uh, the Yasser opponent played in that game king to d8, which is a very bad and losing move. But the main line which is not played, and I was hoping for that, and I prepared that for this game, was f5. f5 block the check, and after ef and queen takes d5, the position is very complex, and white has to castle, and immediately uh, there are some issues for both sides, and the position remained unbalanced for a while. I was expecting that line, but Mr. Alex immediately went for bishop takes, which is the main move. I replied with king takes, and instead of queen g4 check, which I think is mandatory in this position, king to he played kingside castle, and I immediately activated my kingside rook. And as per my assessment, I was perfectly fine in this position, and my opening problems are almost solved. At this position, Mr. Alex Yermolinsky played bishop to e3, and I immediately replied with rook takes c1, and he take with the queen, and I activated my other rook. As I'm having a pawn advantage as well as two free pawns on my queen side, so I was not afraid of any sort of end game. Uh, in this position, Mr. Alex played king d1, queen d1, and I replied with queen c. Uh, uh, initially protected my a7 pawn so that I can maneuver my queen, and I was not interested to lose my a or b pawn because these were my main assets in this game. He played f4, and I calmly replied. The idea behind b4 b6 was also that I was getting control of c5 square. So I was thinking that bishop d6 and then bishop c5 will be a very anchoring move for my position, as I will be hitting is this diagonal. So he played f4, and I replied with the idea in my mind to maneuver my bishop to c5 square. So he sensed the danger and moved his king away as he was avoiding exchanges. So I replied with queen to c2, and I'm targeting an queen exchange as well as e4 pawn. So he initially gave me the check, and after the check, he played uh, e5. e5, I replied with the bishop c5, and in this position he played the losing move, uh, rook to c1, and I replied with as he missed I replied with queen to f5, and there is nothing left in this game for white, as I can force the endgame with bishop exchange, rook exchange, and white is having no counterplay. His d6 push may be interesting, but it will not yield anything major. So he played queen to e2, and that is a blunder as well, as after queen e4, uh, the position is lost, and he resigned in this position. So it was a very, very interesting game, and it is my second victory in last 1 week against uh, one of the top grandmasters. So and it was in my favorite opening. So I'm very proud of my performance in this game, and hopefully you enjoyed. And with that, I will request all of you to please like and subscribe. And thank you so much for your time. Goodbye.